All right, so this is part two of the journey, the story of the prodigy, Mr. Rush. Queens, no, Harlem's finest.
Harlem world.
Harlem's finest
That's right.
is what he called himself.
Yes.
So you just listened to or just watched part one of these.
Yeah.
And we're releasing these same day. So it's not like you had to wait.
We doing the two in one day?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because your
Oh, no,
story's
that's
too
nice.
deep.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's too deep of a story.
Why don't you tell him the truth? Steve called and cursed me.
I mean, there might have been a phone call, you know?
No.
But I think that's a great segue into part two.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing this authentic. You know, we do a ton of research on everything we do, but episode or part one of that episode was so strong that I was like, hey, we need to finish the story. And so, you know, that journey, man, we just left off with Showtime the Apollo.
Uh-huh.
And for a lot of people, bro, like that would have been the peak. That would have been.
Oh, yeah. That's a career because some people. Yeah. I mean, you know, even if they did nothing else after that, I think some people would say that was a great, you had a great run, you know, but it's more to it.
There's more to it. So then what happened? What happened next? I know, you know, you said you kind of were seeking mentorship and you were looking for that in some people. And
yeah,
did you think you were going to find it in radio?
No, I had no idea that I would. And it just came out of nowhere. Actually, you know, after the Apollo run, which was, you know, like filled with all types of feelings and uncomfortableness. And, you know, it was just, it was the best and the worst at times, honestly, because, you know, I'm on TV every week. So I'm being noticed and I'm getting access to things that I wouldn't before. And one of the things that I did get access to traveling around the country with the McDonald's Kids Tour, that's affiliated with the Apollo, is being on radio and interviewing and doing things like that. Television, you know, I got a chance to do a small couple of stints in radio in Dallas. And then I got a big opportunity because if you're familiar with Doug Banks, you know, the late great Doug Banks out of Chicago. He's not from Chicago, he's from Detroit area, but he, you know, made his bones in Chicago, really close and good friends with Tom Joyner, kind of came up in that crew. Yeah. And he had a morning show, and it was him, Ricky Smiley, Dee McGuire, who's doing really great in radio right now. So it was the three of them and a few other cast members and stuff like that. And then Ricky Smiley actually left the team to go off and do his own thing, which he's still doing right now. Shout out to him. So he knew his time was, you know, to leave the show. How it started before I got on the show. As the host of the Apollo, every year, Dee and Doug will come to New York to do a taping at the Apollo. They would do like, you know, a day or two and everybody would come out. And I'm always miss it because I'll be on tour. So I'll be like, man, that's my favorite show. Like, you know, I can't believe I'm saying that right now, but I actually had a favorite radio show. I just always wanted to meet them. They were on the radio in New York City as well. They were nationally known. And I was like, man, and then I happened to meet Doug at a Real Men's Cook, you know, I guess it was an event for Real Men Cook, and he was there and I was there. We kind of hit it off, but you know, no major fireworks, no come work for me. It was just like, hey man, I'm glad, you know, you're doing what you're doing. Listen to you guys. I'm sorry I missed y'all at the Apollo. It was that kind of an exchange. Yeah. You know, we move on, but then I ran into Dee in Las Vegas, hosted the McDonald's Kids Tour. And sure enough, you know, just the conversations from that and just them watching me, you know, like from afar and up close, because I did some radio. When they lost Ricky, they were like, well, you know, this guy's pretty good. And, you know, he was with Joe Soto. Big shout out to Joe Soto. That was my first radio gig. And then I also had a stint on the air with Cheryl Underwood that was hell on wheels, basically. And I'm glad Cheryl and I are super cool friends now, because it was just like, it got real ugly real quick. Yeah. But then we got older and, you know, of course she has many blessings with the CBS gig and we see each other in New York and we kind of kissed and made up. So I was happy about that. But yeah, Doug was really my first big opportunity in radio, and they gave me a call. And people don't know this, at the same time that Doug offered a gig with ABC Radio, Doug was let go, or at least they were taken off in New York. You know how syndication goes. So they move in different directions. And Vinnie Brown, shout out to Vinnie Brown, because Vinnie Brown, who was the program director at the time, who had people like Doug, Wendy Williams, he had a really big roster over there. And they approached my agency and they wanted me to take over for Doug in New York, because I had sat in and I'd done so well that they were very, you know, and they offered a lot. I said at the same time, Doug and those guys were offering. a little less. But for me, it was like, I'm going to learn from the best, sitting with them. They're nationally known. I'm a comedian. I can benefit from that, do my shows on the, instead of being in New York and can't promote in Kansas City, can't promote in Chicago. Well, with Doug, I can.
Yeah.
So what I was going to do is I was like, take that opportunity. So anyway, I started working with them, and it was like instant chemistry. I mean, it was the best time, especially initially. And like we said before in the last episode, Doug represented that one older, brother-like, uncle-like, father-like figure that was like, he would do interviews. And I mean, it still, sits with me now that he would be like, Rudy he knows how to get in and get out. He knows the timing of it. And I really felt like I did, you know what I mean? He gave me all the confidence just to be exactly what I wanted to be. And I thought I took full advantage of it, and it was great.
That's amazing. Everything in radio ain't always fun.
No.
And let me say that different. The business of radio and sometimes the human resources, the HR
Yeah.
of radio aren't always what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.